You know that moment, the small one. You're with her, and nothing huge is happening on the surface. Maybe you're walking back to the car after dinner. Maybe you're on FaceTime, and she's half smiling, half tired, playing with her sleeve while telling you some random story about her day. Maybe she casually brings up something you told her 2 weeks ago that you forgot you even said. And that's when it hits you. Not all at once, just enough to feel it. You start thinking, wait, was that just politeness? Why does this feel different? Is she actually getting attached? Am I reading too much into this? Or is something real starting to happen here? Here's the truth most people miss. She usually doesn't fall for you through one big dramatic moment. She falls for you through subtle emotional shifts her mind hasn't fully named yet, but her nervous system already feels. So no, you're not crazy for noticing the little things. And no, you're not making it up. You're often seeing the beginning of connection before she even has language for it herself. In this video, I'm going to show you the 7 quiet things she starts doing when she's falling for you without realizing it, so you can stop guessing, stop forcing, and start recognizing what real emotional investment actually looks like. Let's get into it. Most people believe that if a woman is really falling for you, it'll be obvious. Big energy, big words, big signals. But the real truth is much quieter than that. Real attachment usually doesn't arrive like a spotlight. It arrives like warmth. It shows up in attention, in softness, in emotional availability, in the way she starts turning toward you without planning to. Because when someone is genuinely falling, their nervous system starts making room for you before their mind fully catches up. That's the part most guys miss. They're looking for a confession when they should be watching for connection. They're waiting for certainty when what actually appears first is consistency. Not louder flirting, not nonstop texting, not some movie scene declaration, but a person who slowly starts feeling safer with you than without you. And here's what changes everything. One sign by itself usually means very little. Patterns mean everything. That's how emotional bonding works, not in one grand gesture, in repeated moments. Attachment science has been pointing at this for years. When someone feels safe, seen, and responded to, they move closer. They self-disclose more. They make more bids for connection. They begin to include you in their emotional world because closeness starts to feel regulating instead of risky. So if she's falling for you, what you'll usually see first is not intensity, it's investment. Not pressure, not performance, not her trying to lock you down, but her inner world quietly saying, I feel different around him. I can breathe here. That's the frame. Now let's go deeper. 1. She remembers the little things you thought didn't matter. Most couples think falling starts with the obvious stuff. The chemistry, the flirting, the big gestures. But most people in relationships completely miss this. Attention is one of the purest forms of emotional investment. When she's falling for you, your life stops feeling like background noise to her. Your small details start sticking. The meeting you were nervous about, your brother's name, the song you said reminds you of high school. The fact that you hate cilantro and always order extra sauce when you're stressed. That is not random. That is emotional tracking. Because beneath the surface, her nervous system is starting to code you as significant. And when someone becomes significant, the brain pays closer attention. That's part of bonding. She's not just hearing you, she's organizing around you a little. Her inner world is quietly registering, what matters to him matters to me now. You see it in moments like this. The disconnected version sounds like, wait, your interview was this week or next week? The connected version sounds like, hey, didn't you say your interview was at 2 today? How did it go? And did your mom's appointment end up okay? That second one lands differently. You feel it immediately. Because when she remembers the little things, you stop feeling like someone she talks to and start feeling like someone she holds in mind. And that's the kind of presence that makes emotional walls come down without either of you having to force it. 2. She starts using future language without even thinking about it. This one is subtle, and honestly, it matters. Most couples assume the future only starts when there's a label, a big talk, or some official, where is this going conversation. But most people in relationships don't realize that attachment often shows up in language before it shows up in certainty. When she's falling for you, she starts including you in the shape of her tomorrow. Casually, unplanned, almost by accident. She says things like, we should go there sometime, or you'd love this place when we go, or you have to see this movie with me. And she may not even notice she's doing it. That matters because future language is psychological inclusion. It means you're no longer just an experience she's having in the present. You're becoming part of the mental picture. Something in her is saying, I'm starting to expect you to still be here. And here's the part no one talks about. This is not about her trying to control the relationship. It's not pressure, not strategy, not some hidden agenda. It's a nervous system beginning to lean into continuity. The disconnected version sounds like, yeah, that place is really good. You should try it sometime. The connected version sounds like, oh, we should go there when you're free next week. You'd love it. Same restaurant, different emotional meaning. Because when she starts speaking in we before she fully means to, the connection stops feeling temporary. That's the shift that turns chemistry into something that starts feeling real. 3. She lets you see the version of her that isn't performing. Here's where it gets really interesting. Most couples build attraction around polish, around being impressive, around keeping the energy high and the edges clean. But most people in relationships don't understand that deeper intimacy begins the moment someone feels safe enough to stop curating themselves so hard. When she's falling for you, she starts letting you see the unedited version, not just the fun version, not just the attractive version, the tired version, the uncertain version, the version that doesn't know what to say, the version that would rather exhale than perform. That's huge. Because vulnerability is not always dramatic. Sometimes it looks like less effort, less image management, less pretending she's totally fine. What her nervous system is learning is, I don't have to be polished to be wanted here. And man, that changes everything. Not mystery, not perfection, not playing it cool, but the quiet courage of being emotionally available in front of you. You'll hear it in moments like this. The disconnecting version sounds like, I'm good, just tired, it's whatever. The connecting version sounds like, honestly, I've had a rough day. I don't even want to be entertaining right now. Can I just be with you like this? That right there is trust. Real trust. Because when she lets you see her without the filter, she's no longer just trying to be chosen by you. She's starting to believe she already is. And that's when a relationship stops feeling like a performance and starts feeling like a refuge. 4. She makes small bids for connection all the time. This is one most couples never figure out, and it's massive. Most people in relationships are waiting for the big signs, the serious talks, the deep late-night confessions. But real closeness is usually built through tiny moments that look almost too small to matter. A random meme, a photo of the sky, this made me think of you, a voice note about nothing, a text that just says, you awake? Those are not filler moments, those are bids. And beneath the surface, bids are emotional feelers, little reaches, little tests, little offerings of presence. She may not consciously think, I am attaching to him, but her behavior is saying, I want contact, I want you in my day, I want to turn toward you. But here's what nobody explains. Intimacy is not built in the giant moments, it's built in the 30-second ones. Emotional distance in a relationship isn't like a wall, it's more like scar tissue. It forms slowly, over 100 small moments that were missed, brushed off, or never repaired. So pay attention to this contrast. The disconnected version sounds like, she only reaches out when she needs something. The connecting version looks like, she sends you a blurry picture of a dog in a sweater and says, this is so you. Or texts, I just passed that taco place you like. Nothing dramatic, but deeply telling. Because when she starts making steady little bids for connection, you stop being a compartment in her life and start becoming part of her emotional rhythm. And that's where real connection begins to breathe. 5. She gets curious about your inner world, not just your surface life. Here's the part no one talks about. Most couples stay on the surface way longer than they need to. They ask about work, about schedules, about what happened. But most people in relationships never learn that emotional intimacy grows fastest when curiosity moves from facts to feelings. When she's falling for you, she wants to know more than what you do. She wants to know how you work, what shuts you down, what lights you up, what you were like before the world told you who to be. She starts listening for the story beneath the story. That kind of curiosity is attachment in motion. Because when someone becomes emotionally significant, their inner world becomes interesting to you. Not as a project, not as a problem to solve, but as a place you genuinely want access to. Her mind starts asking, what lives beneath his silence? What matters to him when no one's watching? And here's what changes everything. This isn't a communication hack. This is just what emotionally mature connection naturally does. It moves toward depth. The surface version sounds like, how was your day? The deeper, connecting version sounds like, you got really quiet after that call. What happened in you right there? Or, when you say you're fine, what does that actually mean for you? That is a different level of seeing, a different level of presence. Because when she gets curious about your inner world, you stop feeling like a role she enjoys and start feeling like a person she wants to know all the way through. And that's the shift that makes love feel less performative and more real. 6. She notices distance quickly and tries to repair it. This is where it gets really interesting. Most couples think conflict is the whole story, the argument, the tension, the misunderstanding. But the deeper truth is that relationships are shaped less by rupture than by repair. Not whether something went wrong, whether someone cared enough to come back. When she's falling for you, distance bothers her, not in a controlling way, in an attached way. The weird energy after a conversation, the coldness after a misunderstanding, the feeling that something is off between you. She feels that. And more importantly, she starts trying to mend it. Because when someone is emotionally invested, drift feels costly. Her nervous system doesn't like disconnection anymore. What looks like she's overthinking is often her body reacting to the loss of emotional safety. Something in her is quietly saying, I don't like us like this. And bro, that matters. Most couples either escalate or avoid. One chases, one shuts down. One attacks, one withdraws. But repair is different. Repair is emotionally available strength. It's someone saying, this connection matters more to me than my ego does. You'll hear the difference right away. The disconnecting version sounds like, whatever, it's fine. The connecting version sounds like, hey, I didn't like how that ended. I'm not trying to fight. I just don't want weirdness between us. That sentence tells you a lot, probably more than she realizes. Because when she starts repairing instead of just reacting, you no longer feel like two people managing tension. You start feeling like two people protecting something real. 7. She starts caring deeply about how you feel in her presence. And this is the one most couples never slow down enough to notice. Most people in relationships are looking for attraction in obvious signs: attention, time, affection, desire. But one of the clearest signs she's truly falling is this: your emotional experience starts mattering to her. She notices when you pull back. She catches when your energy changes. She cares if something she said landed wrong. She wants to know if you felt dismissed, unseen, or unsupported. Not because she's managing you, because your inner state is starting to affect hers. That is a big deal. Because real bonding is not just wanting someone near you, it's becoming responsive to what happens inside them. Partner responsiveness is one of the deepest markers of closeness. It's the relational feeling of, you matter enough that your pain reaches me. Her brain is quietly registering, if he feels unsafe with me, I feel that too. Not possessiveness, not obsession, not reading your mind, but emotional responsibility beginning to wake up. The disconnected version sounds like, if you're upset, that's on you. The connecting version sounds like, hey, did that come off colder than I meant it to? You got quiet. I just want to make sure I didn't shut you down. That's not small, that's intimacy. Because when she starts caring about how you feel in her presence, the relationship stops being two separate emotional worlds brushing past each other. It starts becoming a shared space where both people matter. So if you'd been seeing these signs, don't reduce them to a game. Don't turn them into a script. Because this isn't about decoding women like a puzzle. It's about learning to recognize what genuine emotional connection looks like when it shows up softly. It's about noticing when someone is not just attracted to you, but becoming more open, more present, more invested, more real around you. And if you really understand this, you change too. You stop chasing intensity. You start recognizing safety. You stop looking for perfect words. You start noticing consistent turning toward. These aren't tricks for reading her better. They're the beginning of becoming the kind of man who can actually recognize love before it has to scream. And that changes the kind of relationship you build from here on out. Because the deepest love usually doesn't announce itself. It reveals itself in the quiet ways someone starts making room for you in their mind, their body, and their everyday life. Real intimacy doesn't start when someone says, I love you. It starts when two nervous systems begin to feel safe enough to stop hiding. If this gave you language for something you've been feeling but couldn't explain, make sure you subscribe. And in the comments, tell me which one of these signs you've noticed the most, or which one hit harder than you expected. I'll see you in the next one.